Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm your host, Dr. Haider Shah. On behalf of Calwas, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we have another very interesting topic, and I'm really honored to welcome and introduce our distinguished guest speaker who is going to talk about say it proud, communication, presentation, and public speaking. Around the world, what matters a lot is your communication skills. How do you present and communicate is a skill. You can learn and develop it by following the experts' instructions and guidance. Really, very interesting topic, and I'm sure in this session you are going to learn new amazing things. You will get the best insight, right guidance, and suggestions about all these things as we have an expert with us in today's this session. So stay tuned because an amazing stuff are coming ahead in this session. So before we start, I would like to thank Calwas for arranging such enlightenment sessions, for their support and providing such a wonderful platform. The aim of Calwas is to give you the opportunity to connect and interact with world-renowned speakers, academic leaders, teachers, authors, researchers, experts, professionals, and businessmen to learn from their experiences, recommendations, suggestions, and tips which will create an impact and will enable you to learn uh, and develop yourself in order to grow and transform individually as well as to contribute to the world in positive way. As our slogan is come, learn, and share knowledge. So today we have an amazing person as a guest who has a wonderful experience and exposure, an internationally known and recognized speaker, a man with an iron will, contribute to the world in a different ways, and a great human being. So let me introduce him formally. He is a professional inspirational speaker, educator, facilitator, and Amazon best-selling author. He is a positive influencer, mentor, and coach of public speaking, clarity and confidence building. He started his coaching and mentoring program called Confidentiality Speaking Institute in 2019 and published his best-selling book titled Say It Loud, Say It Proud last July of 2020. His work is about the importance of communication, learn the art of public speaking, and confidence in presentation. Moreover, he is a distinguished Toastmasters DTM, the highest distinction to Toastmasters International. He is also coordinator of Youth International Program and facilitator of Speechcraft teaching in universities, public speaking, and presentation. Combining a sense of responsibility with the gentleness and humor, he states his mission clearly. He was born to bring out the best in people by sharing my experience in the mechanics and dynamics of confident communication so that others can realize their dreams. In addition to that, he is a licensed teacher and had a background in customer service and marketing in the Philippines before moving to Canada in 2008. He now speaks globally in different platforms, organizations, and schools to share his mission and vision. Last but not the least, he's a wonderful speaker, teacher, author, professional, and above everything, he's a great human being. So please help me in welcoming our guest, Von Irek Tendong. Welcome to Carlos platform and thank you very much for joining us.
Wow, thank you for the introduction, Doctor. And I would like to say thank you for having me too. It's an honor to be invited by you. And of course, I accepted the invitation because I really wanted to connect to many people as I can.
Yes, yes, it's
Connecting with
really
people
entirely
is
our
very
pleasure.
important.
Yes,
Yeah,
very nicely said. Yes, the people like you who are contributing to the world in a positive way. Yes, people definitely want to listen from you. They want to learn from you, and they want to inspire because you people are the role model for them. And it's really pleasure to have you with us. So before we get started, let me just tell about the format to our audience that. Sir will be presenting and he would leave the time for question and answer session at the end of the presentation. So you can ask question by writing in comment section or you can email us info@colvas.com. So let's get started. Over to you, dear sir.
okay, thank you. Let's start. Okay, well, we're here to discuss about Say it loud, say it proud. So the title alone will say it's about confidence. And I always believe that confidence is the start to do something. Many of you will going to believe me too that yes, it's true. Confidence, we need confidence to start something in learning, in everything we do, even in sports, music, particularly, of course, in public speaking, presentation, and communication. Confidence is really, really important to start something. Without confidence, I think it's a big challenge for everyone to reach their goal. But of course, after confidence, gaining confidence, the next step is, of course, enhancing your skills, right? Particularly in the field of communication. In conversation alone, we really need to have this courage to talk and to connect to the people. So that's really, really important. Confidence. That's why my book titled Say It Loud, Say It Proud, because the main focus of this book is to help you gain confidence. So let's start for the next slide, please. I love this quote. I conceived this quote 2 years ago and I incorporated that into my book. So it says here, speak to those who have time to listen to you and listen to those who are willing to speak to you. Okay? So communication is a two-way street, right? So it's two-way. So we have the listener and the one who is talking or speaking. So it's two-way. But what is important in communication is active listening. Maybe that's the reason why God created human with two ears in one mouth, because we have to listen carefully, actively listening, so that when we respond, we gather all the informations given to us. So imagine yourself in a workplace if there's no communication. Most likely, the organization will not going to succeed because there's no communication between the management and their employees. So very, very important, again, is communicate to people. And of course, when you communicate to your people, you should also listen carefully without judgment. That's the most important part. So again, I would like to repeat this one. Speak to those who have time to listen to you. So if they have the time to listen to you, speak. And when we say speak, speak well. Radiate positivity. Inspire people. Those what I mean by this quote. And of course, listen to those who are willing to speak to you. I love these leaders who speak last when they are in the meeting. Let's say you're the presiding officer or you're the president. As a leader, you should speak last so that you will going to gather their different opinions, different ideas and insights. And that's where the time you're going to speak after everyone speak. Moving on to our next one. There you go. Communication, right? As I mentioned earlier, it's a two-way street. We have the receiver and the feedback. And in between that is a message. Okay. I love saying this. And actually, this was shared by a well-known inspirational speaker and mentioned communication is not what you say. Communication is what they understand with what you say. I would like to repeat this one. Communication is not only what you say. Communication is what your listeners understand what you said. So what does it mean? As a communicator, you're not only there to speak and speak and speak, or talk and talk and talk. It's also your responsibility as a communicator to be understood. We call it comprehension, right? So that's true. Actually, communication and comprehension comes together. So you should be clear, concise, and of course, your words can be understood clearly by the person. So it's very, very important too, you know your audience. Let's say in public speaking, right? The number one thing that you should know as a speaker is to know your audience, because that's where you're going to give clarity of your words. So let's say you're talking to a group of children. Of course, you have to make it sure that they can understand you. You are not only there to talk about legal terms or professional terms that they might not understand. So that's your responsibility as a communicator. Again, it's not always the words that we say as a communicator. It's the clarity of the words you are saying. Okay? What is effective communication? That's effective communication. Okay? So it's our responsibility to be understood. And to be understood, pick the right words, easily understand. You should not be using words that even yourself don't understand. So whatever language you will going to use, be it in English, Urdu, Hindi, or Chinese, you have to make it sure that you pick the clear words. And also communication, particularly for those non-native of speakers, right? When you communicate, you're not just only choosing the right word, but also you speak slowly so that the listener will absorb what you're saying. I've seen a lot of invited speakers in one conference or in a training session. Non-native speakers of English tend to speak very fast. Actually, there's a certain number of words that we should speak in 1 minute. Somewhere 120 words per minute. Now, if you speak like 150 to 200 words in 1 minute, that is very fast. And you are not conveying the right message to your audience because you don't have time to absorb the words you are saying. Okay? So that's very important. Communication is everywhere, actually. Two persons connecting and talking, that's communication. We also have the written communication. Let's say a book, advertisement, the billboard sign. Those are part of communication. So actually, communication is everywhere. And communication will not go away. It's always there. Even animals communicate with each other, right? The birds chirping, the dogs, the cat. So communication is everywhere. They communicate everywhere. Even baby, they can communicate with us. How? They cry, right? So communication is always there. And of course, when we say communication, it also includes your non-verbal communication. So what is meant by non-verbal communication? That includes your hand gesture, your body language, your eye contact. Yes, I mentioned eye contact. That's very important when you communicate. Look to the person to the eye, not being creepy, of course, but it shows that you listen and you respect them when you talk to them. Okay. Let's move on to the next one, please, sir. There you go. Being able to communicate well is one of the most important life skills. I agree. And I hope everyone will realize that one of the important life skill is you communicate well, right? We have this saying, a great leader should be a great communicator. Okay? It's difficult to lead if you don't communicate. Right? Very, very important. Warren Buffett, well-known billionaire and investor, he invested time in money in public speaking and communication. How? He enrolled in Dale Carnegie Institute just to learn public speaking because he believes that is one important skill is to learn the art of communicating. And what is communication? Okay? You should be able to know how to share information from to one or more people. Right? Ideas will only remain ideas if you don't know how to share that ideas to other people. Example of a good communicator and leader is Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs spent hundreds of hours before doing his presentation. Right? Let's say he will launch another iPhone, let's say iPhone 1, iPhone 2, iPhone 3. He has to make it sure that he rehearsed his presentation hundreds of hours before making it to the public because he know he's sharing information. Now, we are all public speaker. People think when they hear about public speaking, they're scared because they think public speaking involves talking to hundreds of people. No. When you talk to one person, that's already public speaking. Right? That we have this mindset. Oh, public speaking. I'm scared with public speaking. Why? Because I have to talk to a big number of people. No, for those who are listening here, it doesn't need 100 or thousands of people to be engaged in public speaking. Talking to one or two person already, that's already public speaking. So don't be scared in public speaking. That's the reason why many are scared with public speaking, probably because they think that hundreds of people are listening to them, hundreds of people are looking at them, and that's where their confidence becomes low. Now, for those who are very afraid of communication and presentation, public speaking, I suggest this one. Start small, okay? Begin with one person. Know the art of conversation. And then later on, if you do it every day, consistent, then move on to a bigger number of people until you are expert in speaking and communicating. By the way, I would like to emphasize here, and I learned this from World Champion of Public Speaking in Toastmasters International. By the way, Toastmasters International is the biggest group, biggest organization of public speakers and the leading organization in leadership and communication. And I learned this one from him. Public speaking is not acting. Okay, so this is different from the actors in front of the camera doing the acting. Public speaking is you are talking to someone. Just like what I'm doing right now with Dr. Shah here, I try to talk to him and of course to the audience and to those who will going to watch this presentation. You are trying to talk to someone, and that is public speaking. When we say talking to someone, then one word comes in mind, Be natural. So it's like you're having a conversation, one-on-one conversation. And that is public speaking, right? So be important here, being able to communicate well is one of the most important skill. Moving on to the next one. Next slides, please. There you go. Organization. Okay. First, when you start your presentation, you have to organize your speech. Okay. Make an outline. And when you engage in public speaking, let's say you're given this assignment in your company to do a presentation, don't get scared. Okay. The first thing you do is you organize your talk. And there are three basic elements of organizing your talk or presentation. Number one is you develop your opening, or what we call the introduction. Okay. Next one is lead your audience to the body. The body is your main message. And the last one is you transition to your conclusion or the summary of your talk. So let's say they ask you to talk about how to give proper evaluation to new employee. So let's say that's your presentation in your organization. So you divide that into three: the introduction, the body of your message, and then the conclusion. Let's say they give you 20 minutes to present. You should divide that into three. That's as simple. So that's the basic element of speech presentation is opening, your body or the main message of your presentation, and the conclusion. And we are talking about that. That is organization. Now, you already made an outline. You have this outline of your presentation. So, be it 7 minutes, 10 minutes, or an hour, make sure to organize your talk. That's why if you notice in our slides today, I organize it from one slide to another because I don't want to lose the attention of the people, because you're trying here to get the attention of the audience and listen to you. That's important. Number one, communicate. The next one is you organize. Okay. When we communicate, by the way, you have that courage, you have that confidence to initiate. Then afterwards, you got the organization, which is I already explained. Moving on to the next slide, sir. You're a big help to me, doctor, today. So thank you very much for your patience. You're helping me with these slides. There you go. No words. What is meant by no words? When we say no words, that refers to the non-verbal communication. Okay. So what are non-verbal communication? This includes your eye contact. You move with purpose. Your body language, your hand gestures. Those are very important. Now, facial expression too is important. So let's say you convey a message, let's say a special announcement, but your sad face, you have this sad face, then it contradicts the message that you want to convey. That is what we call body language, right? So if you're happy, you have a happy announcement, big announcement, of course your facial expression too should be happy, right? So that's important. No words. We are being evaluated by our body language. Even in a one-on-one conversation, we are being evaluated by our body language. So very important. I would like to touch here a brief about on the stage. What is meant by on the stage? When we say on the stage, what every stage is that? Just right now, we are in a virtual stage. When we on the stage, That means you have the floor, and when you have the floor, you have the confidence to show. That is owning the stage. Show confidence the moment that you are there in given the stage. In person, face to face, or virtual stage, just like this. You own the stage. Okay. Next one, sir. I would like to emphasize these filler words. What is filler words? My question is, filler words bad? To begin with, filler words are unnecessary words that we use, or unnecessary words that we include in our talk. Examples: so, like, particularly the um, those are filler words. So I give you an example of filler words. My name is Bon Eric Tando. Uh, I live in Alberta, Canada. Uh, I'm here right now talking about communication. See, those are filler words. I have this um. You should avoid the filler words, okay? That's why, if you remember, I mentioned talk slowly. It's because you are reminding yourself to be clear. And it's not really clear when you incorporate filler words in your talk. So I'll give you an example again. My name is Boneric Tando, and I live in Alberta, Canada, and I'm here talking about communication. So you see, I don't have that filler words. I don't have that It's because it's annoying. Too many filler words when you speak, when you present, that will annoy your listeners. And in effect, they will not absorb your talk or the message that you want to convey with them. So, how to avoid filler words? Use the power of pause or stopping. So, let's say from one word to another, you should practice that power of pause rather than incorporating that unnecessary word. Example: communication is the art of giving information. So you see, you have that pause. Communication is the art, then there's a pause of giving, rather than communication is the art. So you see, that's the difference. So practice the power pause. Okay, takes a lot to practice. So remember, the challenge here: eliminate filler words so that we are clear and we can convey the right message to the people. Okay, moving on. I hope I gave value about filler words. Ideas. Wow. We all have ideas. We should develop that ideas into speech. Now, the challenge here, if you can't develop your ideas into speech, your idea will remain idea. That's the reason why great leaders not only share information, but great leaders were able to communicate their ideas. Remember, to be a great leader, you should be a good communicator. Again, how are you going to transform your ideas? We discussed a while ago the outline of our speech. And again, I would like to give this review. Opening, and then the body or your message. Take into consideration the body of our message, usually we use the three main points. Point one, point two, point three. Example, you are discussing about the growth of your company. So you should be at least three main points. That is in your body. Okay. Okay. So three main points. And then you expand that three main point. And there you go. You finish your presentation. And of course, conclusion. Okay. In conclusion, we have this so-called CTA or call to action. And inspirational speaker usually give this call to action. You encourage them, you inspire them, you motivate them, and have this call to action. Also, in the conclusion, you have the opportunity to summarize what you said from your introduction into your body. That's why we have this conclusion. You will have this opportunity to reinculcate or tell again the message of your talk. So again, I encourage everyone, your idea will remain an idea if you will not develop that into a speech. Or if your idea you will not develop that into action, then that remains an idea. Okay, so I hope we're clear with that. Okay, moving on. Diversifying vocals. What does I mean by diversifying vocals? Of course, your volume. Is it loud? If you have a low volume, that means you are shy and you don't have a confidence. So make sure the loudness of your voice, the volume of your voice too, is very important. Pitch, right? What's your pitch? Is it high? Is it very low? So you have to take into consideration of that. There are some speakers when they speak, they have a high pitch and they have a so let's have this in an average one. Okay. Next one. This is important. Your speed when you talk, particularly if you are not a native speaker of English. I will not name names or mention a country or nationality, but there are some non-native speakers of English when they speak. They're so very fast, very, very fast that you can't follow them, right? I have many organizations in Asia, and just last night, I'm into this country in Asia. I attended a training, and some trainer and some speakers, they speak too fast. That is one thing that we should avoid. Don't speak very fast. Also, don't speak very slow. Okay? Why? If it's too slow, then most likely your listeners will get bored. So, the quality of the speed of your talk is very important. Okay? Next one. Are you natural and confident? That is important too. Now, I would like to spend more time here in evaluations. This is our next one. Okay. Evaluations are the breakfast of champion. If you are not open-minded to accept feedback and evaluations, then you will not learn. Okay, so be teachable, be coachable. That is the secret of evaluations. Okay, you are willing to accept evaluations for your improvement. Okay, that's the reason why many people are scared of speaking in public or doing a public speaking is because they don't want to be criticized. They don't want to be judged. And everything is a learning process. Even in a basketball team, you get evaluations from your coach, right? That's why very important. You are open-minded and you are willing to embrace, you're willing to accept evaluations, opinions, judgment, criticisms, view. That's really important. When you receive feedback, the key word here is use that for your improvement. I'm now speaking globally via virtual about my one of my favorite topic, which is the art of giving and receiving feedback. That is around 30 to 40 minutes presentation. It's I call it the art of giving and receiving feedback. Are you ready to receive feedback for your improvement? That is the art of receiving feedback. Okay? And are you also ready to give feedback? So there are some techniques and strategies in how to give and how to receive feedback. Okay? So, but the most important here, let's dwell and focus more on receiving feedback for our improvement as a communicator and as a speaker. When you receive feedback, in this book, chapter 7, let me check it here, of this book. And it says here, evaluation, okay? Evaluation. The natural response to evaluation is to feel judged. We have to mature to a place where we respond to it with gratitude in love feedback. That's according to Henry Cloud, an American author and speaker. So see, almost everyone, our natural response to evaluation is to feel judged. So don't feel judged. Okay, you should be open. Okay, so now in feedback or evaluations, we are judged or we are being evaluated into three parts, and that is, as a speaker, you are being evaluated how you look. Okay, it's very important to dress well or dress in accordance to the surroundings or your environment. And of course, when you dress well, that also gives you confidence, right? So dressing well gives you more confidence because we are tackling here about confidence in communication and presentation. So when you dress well, you look good, then everything will be okay. Next one, we are being evaluated how we sounds. That's why in a while ago, we mentioned about the diversifying your vocals, right? How you sound. Is it confident? Are you natural? How's your voice? Right? Are you fast talker? Are you slow talker? So that's why you are being evaluated how you sound as a speaker. And the last one is how you organize your material. That's why I showed to you a while ago, transform that ideas into speech or transform that ideas into action. And how you do that? You organize. And organizing your material, then you're being evaluated on. So remember, three things. If you want to be a good speaker, this is the main and basic things you should consider. As a speaker, you are evaluated how you look. Okay? And number two, how you sound. So the clarity of your voice is very important. And lastly, you are being evaluated how you organize your thought, your material. Also, how you organize your thought. So your thought and your words should correspond to each other. It's very important. Okay, so that is evaluations. But in evaluations, I would like to share this to you, how to receive evaluations and feedback. Don't take it personally. Okay, the moment that you take it personally, then negativity will come in. So just be positive. That's the most important part in everything we do, in our work, in school, or if we are part of a team, sports, probably hockey, basketball, soccer. Just be positive and everything will come into places. Just be positive. Don't take it personally. Because if you take it personally, then there you go. Chances are you will not accept it, right? Or you will not learn from it because you take it personally. I would love to say, let go of your ego. Okay? As what Henry Cloud said, embrace evaluations and feedback with openness. Accept it with open arms. Right? That is one way to learn. That's why I encourage everyone, find a mentor. Okay? Whatever you do, if you want to excel in something, you should have a mentor. And who's your mentor? Probably the senior members of your organization, your family, your relatives, the people you look up to. So very important. Mentor. Mentor will be the one to guide you, assist you, support you. And of course, they're the one who will give you a feedback so that you will improve more. Okay? Or you should hire a coach, engage a coach. Okay? That's important too. If you have a life goals, then engage a coach. Right? Again, the most important people who will give a feedback also are the listeners. So let's say you have this presentation. To make it specific, let's say in your company, the management asks you to do a presentation in the meeting. So after the meeting, approach someone you trust and ask for feedback. Okay? So you should be the one to initiate too in getting feedback. Okay? That is one way we're going to learn. Ask for feedback. Ask for evaluations. Okay? I hope there's a value and impact in learning in this part of that talk. It's about the evaluations. Okay? Moving on to our next one. No, the other one, sir, please, before the telling your story. There you go. Necessary practice. That's the most important. That's why the Olympians practice every day at least 6 to 8 hours to improve their craft, their skills, right? Practice is very important. Right now, what I'm doing now is I'm practicing because I'm speaking, and while I'm speaking, I'm also learning. And later on, if I get the chance, I will watch the whole recording and I will pinpoint what needs to be improved. So that's one way of practice. Okay? Let's say you want to practice your skill in English speaking for those who are non-native speaker. I suggest probably every day you should speak in English. An hour. It's up to you. Just like writing a book. If you have 15 minutes to spare, as long as it's every day and consistent, then you can practice very well. Okay? So practice speaking in English And that's way you're going to improve your speaking skill. And for those native speaker of English, they still rehearse, they still do the necessary practice, right? So every day, commit a time in every day. I love saying this. Start small, you achieve more. What does it mean? When you do things in a small portion but consistent, that will be a big result later on. Example, if you read one page of a book every day, in 30 days, that's 30 pages, right? What if in 1 year? So same thing with speaking. If you speak 10 minutes a day, an hour a day, that will be a big result in the end. So in necessary practice, you practice your speech for an effective presentation. So don't just go there without preparing yourself, without practicing. So when you present your talk to your audience, make sure to rehearse. Again, in this book, there are some tips on how to rehearse your presentation. Of course, one way is, I'll just give one. One way is to have a practice in front of your friends or relatives so that you can feel the energy, the vibes when you go to the actual presentation. Practice it. Or if you don't have a group of people to practice with, you record yourself, right? Let's say you have a 10-minute presentation. You record yourself and then watch that recording. So that is one way of having a necessary practice. Or let's say you are invited to speak in your brother or sister's wedding. Wow, right? And there's like lots of guests in that wedding. So before you do your talk, you should practice or rehearse. And practice though, practice makes progress, okay? Aim for progress. Don't aim for perfection. Always progress. That's the old saying, practice makes perfect. But now, practice makes progress. Okay? So, what is important here is every day you are improving. Okay? I'm going to share something about necessary practice here, and I want you to read this one. Okay? Okay. Preparing yourself for success. And the great soccer player Pili once said, practice is everything. So you see, you should practice. And also, I would like to mention the quote of Malcolm Gladwell here, and I incorporated this in my book. Practice isn't the thing you do once you're good. It's the thing you do that makes you good. All right? So, what is meant by that? You do it more often. You do it consistently. And that makes you good in one thing. Right? You're focusing on it. Okay? That's why practice makes progress, because you progress every time you practice. Right? So, very important, necessary practice. Okay, we started with communication. I discussed something about communication. And then we move on to the organization, right? And then the next one is no words. By the way, what is no words? It's your non-verbal cue or non-verbal communication. Okay? And then filler words. I hope everyone will learn from the filler words, how to eliminate filler words. And then we discuss about ideas, right? And then we move on to diversifying your vocals. How to diversify your vocals? Breathing techniques. And it's also included in this book. Some breathing techniques. I've seen a lot of public speaking book and presentation book. They don't include the breathing exercise. But here, I made it sure to include that breathing exercise. That way, you will have this powerful voice. Let's say you have a problem in low voice, then you can improve your voice. So breathing technique. And of course, after diversifying vocals, what's next? We, we discuss about evaluations. And evaluations or feedbacks are the breakfast of champion. If you want to be a champion, you should receive feedback without taking it personally. And now we have this necessary practice. Okay, without practice, then you will not do good in your presentation. Very important. Okay, so don't uh, forget to practice. You have to practice, 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 practice. Even in learning new language like English, like if you want to learn Mandarin or Urdu, right? You have to practice it, right? And allow time every day for your practice, right? So very, very important. Next, moving on. There you go. Telling your story. What does it mean by telling your story? A good public speaker knows how to tell their story. Okay? If you want to be an inspirational speaker, motivational speaker, then don't just be a speaker. Be a messenger because you have stories to tell. Okay? Be a messenger because you have a message to everyone. And how can you do that in your presentation? Incorporate storytelling to your presentation. Okay? That's important. Don't just go there to give lecture. Okay? What's my story? How did I become an author? Okay? I became an author last year because I was inspired by my students. I was inspired by my mentee. So I'm mentoring people in public speaking, and it all started when I joined Toastmasters, and then later on, I'm mentoring people outside of Toastmasters as a way of giving back, particularly those immigrants in a certain country. Like in Canada, there's a lot of immigrants, and I want to help them to gain confidence so that they can converse well to the people. Okay? It's our responsibility actually to learn the language of the country we are in. So let's say if you are new to that country, you are new to that workplace and everything, it's your responsibility to learn. Of course, we are lucky if someone will teach us, right? But still, the learning aspect is still coming from you. That's the reason why I started my book, Say It Loud, Say It Proud, because I really wanted to help young, particularly adults who came into the country without that confidence. Because 14 years ago, I'm also in that position, right? When you are in a new country, you're by yourself, you don't have a friends, what will happen? And then you are dealing with new culture, everything. That's why we have this so-called culture shock. You were shocked by the new culture, new belief, new language, right? So I was in that position that I have a low confidence to myself, right? And right now, what I'm doing right now is I'm helping people. I'm coaching online. Some are from Pakistan and in the Philippines to help them build their confidence in communication and presentation. And most of them have these ideas actually. They have a very bright ideas. Their challenge is how to put that into action. Their challenge is how to put that ideas into words. And that's where I came in. I'm there to help them build that confidence. Of course, confidence comes within. It starts with you. Everything starts with us. But of course, with the help of other people, that's why I have this advocacy to help other people to gain that confidence and courage. Right? Particularly, I've known some people who are very, very much concerned with their accent when they speak English. Don't worry about your accent. Even because the native speaker of English, they also have accent. Everyone has accent. Okay? So take note. Everyone has accent. The people in the east of this country, Canada, when they go to the west, I'm in the west, they have accent. And yet they're speaking English. And English is their only main language. They don't know other languages. But you can still determine that they have an accent. So for those Indians, Pakistans, Chinese, Filipinos out there, don't be shy with your accent. Okay? Well, there's some accent reduction coaches out there to help you eliminate your thick accent. But the point here is if you are really confident, then don't think of your accent. What is meant by accent? For me, accent is an act of bravery. You are brave, right? You speak another languages, and that's bravery, right? So don't worry about your accent. So that is telling your story. You have stories to tell. So in your presentation, you will become natural. People will listen more to you when you present because you are incorporating a story. Okay? Remember, as a lecturer, you are not only there just to give a lecture. Give a story. Give example. Give your experience. Share your experience. Okay? So, in a presentation, you are not just there just to be a presenter. You are not just there just a speaker. Because you are also a messenger. Messenger of your own message to your audience. So that's telling story. Okay? Okay. Next slide, sir. There you go. First, learn the meaning of what you say and then speak. That's why very important. Learning, and practice. Very important. So you don't have to use a word that you don't even understand. Okay? So just if you have a rich vocabulary, that's good. But that's why we call it vocabulary because you know it. You know the meaning. But now you just heard one thing and then you don't know the meaning and then you incorporate that in your talk. No. You should learn the meaning of what you say. And how you do that? Of course, you are organizing your talk. And then you speak. That is according to Epictetus. I love this quote. That's why I put this in my presentation slide. Okay. Next one, please, sir. Regardless of which language you speak, okay? Regardless, any language you speak, you need to be, next slide. There you go. Regardless of any language you speak, you should be confident. That's why we organize it into C, communication, or the art of communicating. O, which is organization. N, no words. And I, which is the ideas that you should transform it to action or transform it into your speech. Then your vocals, very important, your vocals. That's why I mentioned the breathing technique. And then, of course, learn to receive feedback. Learn from it. Learn from your mistakes. Okay? That's the only way to learn is from your mistakes. Don't be afraid to commit mistakes. Okay? And then practice, necessary practice. And then last one, T, tell your stories to the world. So that is confident. Regardless of any language you're going to use to speak, just be confident. It's easy to say, but coaches are here, mentors are here, your teachers are here to mentor you to become confident. Because if you don't have that courage and confidence, then it's very difficult to communicate. Okay? If you want to be a good leader, you should be a good communicator. So invest time for yourself. Read books. Okay? Watch videos like this. That's why we have these videos, because we want to share to the world some ideas. We want to share to the world some learning. And I appreciate you, Doctor, for sharing this and inviting me, because I always believe everyone has a message to tell. Everyone has a story to share, because we are all messengers of our stories and experience. You never know whom you are inspiring. You never know whom we are motivating. So go out, be confident. Okay? Just be confident. Don't just stay in one corner and be silent. I remember in one of my class in youth leadership program, and he mentioned, no, I don't have a story to tell. No, you have a story to tell. It's just that you don't have the confidence to tell your story. Right? And what happened? They became confident and they start sharing. We all have stories to tell. Okay, and be very confident to share that. I hope I gave impact in learning. And Doctor, thank you very much. For those listening right now, and for those future listeners, you can connect to me in Facebook. I'm also in LinkedIn. Of course, I'm in Instagram. I have my own Facebook group too, if you want to connect with me. YouTube, and of course, you can email me. I have my email, so vtandok@gmail.com or confidentlyspeakinginstitute@gmail.com. If you have some questions, I'm more than willing to answer your questions with regards to this presentation. Thank you very much, Doctor, for inviting me. Thank you, everyone, for having me here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will now
Thank you
turn over
very
the floor
much,
to
dear
you.
sir. It was so wonderful to see the way you were presenting, and I love the way you were telling and explaining everything in such a calm way. You are very relaxed and you were connecting different things. I loved it. The way you started from the communication and what is the role of communication, particular to the leadership. And I love the way you mentioned that if you have a great idea but you are unable to convey that idea properly, so and it is the quality of the leaders that they communicate with the effective way. So we must be a very good communicator. And I love your different phrases. What makes progress is wonderful. Practice makes progress. That is so nice. And I love the way you mentioned about evaluation, the feedback. Yes, of course, people take it negatively because as a human nature, we don't like to be criticized by anyone. But of
That's true.
course, once we look into it, we dig it, we try to understand that yes, these are the different weaknesses. We can overcome it, we can remove it by improving. So that is, of course, going to help us a lot. And I loved your phrases that be teachable and be coachable. Very nicely you have mentioned And the role of mentors, yes, of course, we do have a mentors, and if someone is lacking the mentorship, I would recommend, as you also recommended, that you must have mentors. We have these kind of experts like you, who are the different coach, inspirational speakers, writers, authors. They have a very profound effect and impact on us. So we definitely look upon you, because whatever you recommend is based on certain experiences and exposures which are very much important for us. I would say that your slides were so brilliantly made that these were these small bullet points. At the same time, it looked very simple, but it were heavily loaded slides, because the way you were explaining the things, it was so wonderful, and it kept me engaged all the way, and I learned so many new things from you. And that's the beauty of the such kind of sessions. And someone wrote in the comment section as well, that as a business students, as well as a general audience, we learn a lot from these kind of sessions, because sometimes we do not consider the things which matters a lot. But when you people point it out, and you recommend us to work on it, then of course we are going to improve it. So once again, thank you very much for such a wonderful
Oh, thank you.
presentation, wonderful content, and I really love the way you were explaining the things. And one thing more was that the power of pause. Yes, that was so impactful. I really enjoyed your presentation, and it was so great. Let me ask you a few questions quickly, because we have the time constant. Should I ask the first question, please? Okay. The first question is, sir, they would like to know that in your experience, which factor influenced the most when you experience fear of public speaking? When we do the public speaking, what factors have you noticed that actually make us frightened to publicly speak
Ah,
as an expert?
thank you for that question, Doctor. Yeah, when we start to build ourselves as a speaker, the most frightening and scary part is the evaluation or the feedback or the criticisms. That's the most scary part. It's natural response of everyone. That's why in Facebook, right? In Facebook, in our social media, we always looking for that comments, good comments, and the likes. That is natural. But we are afraid of bad comments or if there's no like. I remember one person whom I know very well, I'm mentoring, and he stops this video that he's doing because for two things. Number one is receiving a feedback, corrective feedback or constructive feedback. And number two is no one is watching the video. So you see, if your purpose is to learn, then with or without viewers, you just continue what you do. And secondly, you are willing to accept criticism and everything we do. So that's the most scary part, actually. Okay. In one neology, people will be the one inside that coffin instead of giving the eulogy. Have you heard about that? We just want to be in that coffin. In if we are in the eulogy, if there's someone dead, and we tend to give a speech about that person, we'd rather be
Mm,
that person inside that coffin rather than giving the eulogy because we are really afraid, and that's the most scary part in
true.
public speaking. Another one is to start.
Mm,
People don't know how to start. That's why they're
yes.
scared. Many people don't want to start from the bottom, right? You
Mm,
don't want. No, start small. Start in the bottom and
mm,
then you work your way going up. So those are the two things that's very scary when you not only actually in public speaking, even in anything that we do is we don't want to receive that criticism. That's a scary part for everyone. And we don't want
mm.
to start small or we don't want to start from the below.
Yes, very nicely
That's my
said. Thank
question.
you very
Answer
much,
to your
dear sir.
question.
Very, very wonderful answer for that. And the last question, because of the time constraint, dear sir, please share your thoughts when public speaking. What facial expression or body language help the speaker, and what things do you recommend to avoid as an expert? Yes, please.
Well, facial expressions is very important too. Of course, that smile. Always smile. Once you smile when you speak, then that makes yourself you're making yourself relax. Okay?
Mm,
And of course, when you smile, your audience will also be relaxed. They're not tense.
mm,
Okay? So just
mm,
smile. Yeah. Okay? It releases the tension. Okay?
yes,
And when you smile, you're radiating positivity. So that's one important in facial expression. Of course, when your message is sad, don't smile. So you have to be aware of that, right? If you have
yes,
a message that is not happy, then of course don't smile. So what I mean by smiling here is you have that positive uh,
mm,
gesture or expression in your face. Number two
yeah,
is using hand gesture. Don't
mm,
overdo or use that much your hand gesture. You have to use it with purpose. You have to
mm,
move it with purpose. Now that we are in a virtual right now, I tried not to use or overdo my hand gesture, particularly if you are using background. It's difficult.
mm,
Like when you use, that's why I love plain wall so that I will not going to use a background because the more you use your hand gesture, then sometimes they can't see your hand because of the background, virtual background that you're using. So, but if you are in the stage, of course, using hand gestures is a good way to add message,
mm.
but don't do over use your hand gesture. Don't overdo it. And of course, you just move in purpose.
Mm.
Okay. I hope I answered the question very well and give learning and impact.
Yeah, thank you very much for such a elaborative answer. It was very nice to hear because in expert they always notice each and everything, and you have rightly pointed out the wonderful points. I think because of the time constraint, we have to end the question answer session over here. Dear sir, what is your message to the world as a teacher, trainer, learner, professional, and educator? Yes, please.
I have two messages actually. Number one is awareness. Okay. So I mentioned a while ago, don't overuse your hand gesture. You should be aware. The moment that
Mhm,
you have that awareness, then you can control what's going on. So just be aware. Maybe,
mhm,
even if you're the expert or the beginner, just awareness. That's why very important in public speaking is you should know your audience, right?
yes.
That's why if you remember, doctor, when we are planning this presentation, I asked you who are the audience.
Mhm,
So that's very important. Know your audience and be
mhm,
aware. Okay.
yes.
Number two, start small, you achieve more. I love saying this quote. I conceived that quote, I think, 2 years ago to inspire myself. So
Mhm,
I'm doing code not for everyone else, but the most important is myself to motivate myself. It's motivation. If we can't get it from other people, you should motivate yourself. That's why when you start small, do little things consistently,
mhm.
right? And then if you're doing it consistently, then at the end, big result. So start small, you achieve more. So those are my two messages for today. Again, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, dear sir. It was so lovely presentation, so lovely material, and your advices were so wonderful. Thank you very much. And in the last, I would say that indeed communication and presentation are very important skills to learn. There is popular saying, which is that it's not important what you say, but how you say. It means art of speaking is very crucial. So learn it. We recommend that do follow the distinguished guest speaker through his work and through his book. You can email him for future learning and guidance. He is very generous and always ready to help the people. Moreover, wonderful explanation and powerful content which the great speaker has already elaborated will help you to learn about more about the art of speaking. So that is all we have time for today. Thank you very much once again to Von Eric Tendok.
Thank you.
Also, I would like to thank our audience who join us. If you have any additional questions about the information shared today, please email to us or connect to the speaker directly through his email or on social media account. Thank you all for your supporting and liking our session. Stay tuned as many sessions are on the way. Please do not miss any session. Until next session, take care of yourself. Bye bye.